During this video we're going to take a look at the execute command, which you can see here. So it's part of the standard functions. I like this node because it gives me a bit more extra flexibility using stuff outside of Node Red, and it's really easy to use. And I've got some examples here where we're going to start and stop the Bluetooth commands. But basically any command that you would use in your terminal, so via here, you can see here I've been running Bluetooth services, we can emulate in here with the execute command, even starting Python code and then getting the output of the Python code pushed through to our debug, which I'll show you via this example. So I've got a couple of sensors, I2C sensors, one for light, one for vibration. Really, the I2C function nodes in Node Red aren't great, but the ready-to-use Python code that you can use on your Raspberry Pi is pretty good. So I'll just quickly show you that. But let's have a look at what we're going to do. So we go back to our project. I've put all of these different commands in. I found this on the World Wide Web because I couldn't be bothered to look anywhere else. And there's a list of Bluetooth commands that you can type in via the terminal to use your Bluetooth to pair to other devices. I'm just going to use this as an example. So I've just taken these commands, so Bluetooth control space power on, for instance, and put them into each one of these. So to use the execute, you need to have a trigger to execute the code. Basically everything else is default, so just cut and paste your command in here, case sensitive, word for word, and compile, and you're ready to go. So let's have a look here. I'll put my debug on and clear it. So we're going to do Bluetooth power on. So if I inject that, I can see here changing power on succeeded. I'll try off. Here we go, changing power off succeeded. So let's put the power back on. And then we're going into the Bluetooth controls. Start the Bluetooth scan, and it's already started. You can see here the count. And then I want to see what devices it's found. So again, there's a standard Bluetooth command for Bluetooth devices. So if I click on that, over in my debug window, I get a list of the devices it's found. So I'll just make this bigger so you can see it. So you can see here device, MAC address, global, that I think that's a phone somewhere in my house. That's definitely my PC. There you go. That's the execute command. Not a brilliant example. Let's look at the next example that I've got. So we're going to log into my Raspberry Pi Zero and we'll look at the terminal emulator first. I just want to show you what the Raspberry Pi desktop version looks like. When you're doing Python code, you actually get a free programming tool here. Now when we're on the Raspberry Pi Zero with no desktop, because we really haven't got the processing power, we have to do it via a text editor. So this means when you put the code in, it's not going to tell you here whether it's right or wrong, so you have to be a little bit more careful. I'll show you an example here. So sudo nano, if you use this wiggly line /, then if it's the first time you're generating the Python code, give it a name.py. That's going to put it in your home directory. So if I hit on this, you'll see my code. And basically I've cut and pasted this. I've been playing around with the code, so remming it out. But what I've done here is I've cut and pasted the code from this VEML77 page, and I've just then done a little bit more work where I've put it into a JSON string and I'm outputting a JSON string. So there's my code. If I control X that, if I want to run that in the terminal, I just use the command python 3 and then I tell it where the program is that I've written. If I hit return, I've just got it to do it once. It will return. Here you can see my JSON string with the light and the ambient. So what I can do with Node Red is I can get it to run that and it will output the value. So all I've done here Let's go to the light one, so it's the same example. I'll get my terminal emulator up. You can see here, that's how I run the code, Python 3. So I put the execute command in, I put Python 3, hide console, which it's up to you, it's just shows you something here on the dashboard. And then I'm pushing this through to a JSON to object converter, and then I'm setting up the topic for each of the process values into a message payload and pushing that into a visualization. So you can see here my code is running. My inject is set to inject every 0.2 seconds. If I put my debug on, you will see here, there's my light, there's my ambient, and I'm getting that. Now I've put it at 0.2 seconds, but because I'm starting the code every time, it slows it down a bit. So what this isn't very good for is if you've got a bit of code that's got a continuous loop in there to keep it running nice and fast. This needs the inject. There are other nodes, but this is a good example. I'm not really fussed about light. It's a relatively slow moving process value, so the speed I'm doing at here is fine. But there's some examples for you. So if we have a look, just to recap, on my Raspberry Pi version 4, I've just started and stopped the Bluetooth commands, and you can see here the Bluetooth devices I've found. And then on my Raspberry Pi Zero, I've got some Python code connected to a light sensor and a vibration sensor that, to be honest, I haven't generated completely by myself apart from creating the JSON script, and that is being run from Node Red. And the beauty of that is now I can put that into the visualization nodes, and then I can generate a dashboard here, and I can see my light and my vibration values coming into my trends. So there you have it, the execute node for Node Red. Really good at finishing those tasks off that fall between the gaps of Node Red and something like Python code. I hope you found that useful. Please click on the notification bell because there's more of these videos coming out. But for now, thanks for listening, and hope to see you again soon.